Hey ho. Check it out! Immediate merch book. These are my Ho Gang hoodies. They just got in stock. They are cropped. And this one is nude because that's our gang color. More skin tone shades coming soon. I don't even want to hear it, okay? This was the most accessible one to me. Alright? But yes, if you want to be a member of the Ho Gang, check out my website, lydiajaprod.com, and click where it says Ho Fashion, and you get this hoodie and in other colors and a ton of other stuff as well. Okay, promo over. I really kind of want to be like one of those annoying YouTubers. It's like, buy my merch! Like, it's annoying, but I'm also like, respect for the shameless plug. So I'm trying it. This is an experiment. I might have to subliminally advertise if this doesn't go over well. We'll see. We'll see. It's market research. The other day, people were getting mad at me on Instagram. Hang on. This is my symbolic tea. It's coffee, but I'm not gonna go back to drinking tea. So when I announced this new merch, someone had a problem with it. It wasn't a big problem, it was just feedback, and she was like, hey, this could be dangerous because it says ho on it, and we have a certain stigma. Maybe it's not a good idea, and maybe next time you should be more discreet. So me personally, I'm like, okay, that's one way of looking at it, but also this is fashion, and it's not that serious. It's a bag. If you don't want to wear the bag, don't wear the bag, but don't tell me that my fashion is harmful. I'm not Gucci with the blackface or Burberry with the noose around the neck. It's just, like, I know criticizing fashion is trending, but I'm just not the one to criticize. And I was insulted because it's like, you don't think I consider the safety of my community every second of every day? You don't think that that's what I occupy my mind with? Like, of course. People think that I'm like some crazy money-hungry maniac, but it's like, no, I'm introducing you guys to how business works. Business outside of the business that you already know. Anyway, I didn't mean to trail off. But yeah, people were going back and forth about this bag that said ho on it, and I'm like, it doesn't say, prostitute. It doesn't say criminal. It doesn't say murderer, drug dealer, bomb carrier, ISIS. Like, it doesn't say any of those things. Like, it's not a harmful word. Like, it's commercialized now. To me, when I see the word hoe, I think of, a hustler, of a modern woman. Like, we're all kind of hoeing for something. And also, hoe is the name of my app, and it's also the name of Bad Baby's hit song, These Hoes. Like, it's just so different. Even if it said H-O-E, hoe, I highly doubt that it's going to alarm people and inspire them to, inspire violence and calling law enforcement. You can't call the cops because someone's like, hey, this bag says ho in a new age spelling. I'm very concerned for the people around us. This woman might be a criminal. It's not gonna fucking happen. Anyway, sorry, I'm just addressing that. But at the end of the day, that's what I was talking about. At the end of the day, I got valuable feedback about my company. Companies have to pay for focus groups to get that. But now with social media, people will just tell you how they feel. And the fact that people were getting into such a heated discussion about it was like, wow, people really feel strongly about my brand. And people didn't take it seriously. They wouldn't take time to comment. They'd just be like, this shit is whack, and move on. So the fact that people were giving me their opinions, I couldn't help but give them respect back. Because I'm like, wow, like, even if you think you're being a hater, you're not. Like, you're really giving me good insight. And I would never pay a focus group. So, thank you. So we'll see how me plugging the merch goes. I think it should be fine. But who knows? Well, let's let the feedback roll in. Now, enough of that. Thanks for listening. I want to tell you about how I finessed my way out of a mental hospital. Interesting. Not clickbait. I know I've mentioned it a few times before. When I was 16, I got sent away to a state facility for a year. I don't know if I'm going to get emotional or not. This is this is the hardest time of my life. I need more tea, coffee. My throat immediately just started getting, like, uncomfortable. Those throat chakras, am I right? Alright, alright, alright. Enough of feelings. Okay, so I had a nervous breakdown, tried to kill myself on an overdose. Like, I was literally found laying in the street. I took an entire bottle of Seroquel. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a tranquilizer. Anyway, woke up in the hospital, nervous breakdown. I cried for like 24 hours. I just lost it. I lost my shit. I was being abused by my dad, and my stepdad was verbally abusive, and I was assaulted sexually at school. Like, oh man, I was just getting it from all angles. And you just break down after that. Like, I don't know, I was having PTSD, and I guess I was just so triggered, and it just triggered this whole mental breakdown. And it went from depression to violence. Like, I woke up in a private hospital, psych ward. In private hospital psych wards are pretty cushy, and I got worse in there. And it was so bad that the hospital, I was transferred twice, and the second hospital that I was in was just like, hey, like, we can't care for her here, because I had gotten more violent, and it went from like depression to violence. I think when I realized I couldn't get out, it's when I was like, oh, I want to make you want to get rid of me. And what I didn't realize is, yeah, they got rid of me, but they didn't discharge me to the general public. No, they upgraded my facility. When I say upgraded, I do not mean in a good way. The place I was at was called Sagamore Children's Hospital. That is such a misleading title because it is a state-run facility. It's run like a jail. And the staff they're all like state employees, and they were just horrible people. Like, they didn't give a frick about their jobs, about the patients. Now, granted, I was the most violent person there. I was fighting all of the time. I said horrible things. I spit on people. I mean, like, you couldn't have found an angrier person than me. They called me the dragon. Also, my government name means dragon, so it wasn't like they just picked it out of nowhere. Just disclaimer on that. And I got violent when I first got there because they wouldn't give me my medication that calms me down. And I just was just getting worse and worse and worse, and they wouldn't give me Thorazine, which is like the shot that you see like in mental hospital, like TV and movies. That shot, like, that's real, that they give the patient to calm down. The padded room is real. It does not feel padded at all. It's so hard. It's not soft at all. Like, it would be great if it was. But no, it was, like, I'm trying to describe the hardness of it, but I can't think of anything that hard yet not solid. Anyway, I don't recommend you find out for yourself. Ugh, I never want to be in a padded room again. Or in bed restraints. Alright, so I was in Sagamore. They wouldn't give me the shot. They wouldn't give me my Seroquel. They wouldn't give me my Klonopin. They wouldn't give me anything that calmed me down except the bare minimum meds. And I was on lithium that time, and oh god, I was on a few things. And so there was a school there. It wasn't a real school. It was just like, you got up, you got out of your unit. It was divided in 4 units. So there was E unit, G unit. I want to be in G unit so bad. The G unit was for boys. Basically, so I'm trying to like break it down for you to paint you like a picture. Because there's no pictures of the inside of Sagamore. You can get an aerial photo from the top of Sagamore, and you can also get an old ass picture of the front. And it's like nothing. Like, you can't even tell anything about it. So there's 4 units. And there's one for girls, I guess, that are super, super young girls, and then older girls up to 17. And then same thing with the boys. So really young boys and then older boys. Um, and we all stayed in our rooms. So there was just it's just like it's like a cell. Only didn't have bars. It was just like walls. Um, with the hardest, itchiest, disgusting bed ever. It's like a twin bed that feels like it's like it feels like the same material of the padded wall. It's softer than that. Let's be real, it's softer than that. Just paper thin sheets. Like it's just it was horrible. And you had to wake up every morning at 6 a.m. and you had to make your bed, and it had to be like no wrinkles at all. Like it was literally like it was crazy. Ice cold showers. The water didn't get warm until like the very last person took the shower. So it's like you had no chance of getting a shower. A hot shower. It was ice cold. Plus I was always supervised because I was on suicide watch. So it's like I had to sleep with someone outside my door. I had to shit with someone, outside the door. And same thing with showering. Like that does not make you feel safe. Like it made me feel like an animal. And I think that was part of what contributed to me being violent. Um, it's just like I was a product of my environment at that point, like I left with so many more problems than I did going in. Like when I first went in, I was a depressed girl that just had PTSD. Like I had PTSD and it was not diagnosed the entire time I was sent away. Like people had diagnosed me with all sorts of antisocial personality disorders and like saying it was a hopeless case and that I'd never be cured. Just turns out I have like extreme PTSD, and I was blocking out the sexual abuse from my dad. I don't know why I'm whispering. I was blocking it out. So it was happening and I wasn't remembering. And whenever I had flashes of something, I was like, oh, it's a bad dream. And I would shake it off. So, I was in there and doctors, were trying to help me. And they're like, well, why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? And I couldn't. I didn't know. So it was tough. It was really tough. And I also believe a part of me was tripping out all the time because a part of me knew what was waiting for me when I went home. So it's like if I acted up, I could stay away from my dad. So in some, guess who they released me to? My dad, because my parents are divorced. So I immediately got released and lived with my father, which just made things so much worse when I got out. But that's another story. I have a lot of stories about my childhood, my formative years. Okay, so the walls were, it was like these cinder block walls, and they were like this disgusting color yellow. They were the color yellow when you start getting an infection and like you start coughing up phlegm. It's like the first shade of yellow when you cough up white phlegm, and then the shade after that, it's like a pale yellow, and that's right before it gets like super yellow and then green. I know I'm using the most disgusting analogy ever, but I need you to understand how disgusting that yellow is. That's the color of the walls. The carpet was like this paper thin green carpet, and although it was all just everything was concrete, the floor, it was just like, solid concrete. There was no wood floors. There was no hardwood floors. There was not even any tile. Not even cheap tile. The mirrors weren't even real. There was no glass mirrors. I was rough in that place. It was very rough looking. Okay, so yeah, that's the floors, and the floors smelled horrible. Like I walked across them barefoot, and I remember this one day I took off my little flats, and the girl next to me, like we're sitting, like there's like a common area that you can hang out during the day, and we're sitting in this common area, and she looks at me and she goes, your feet smell like corn chips. And I was like, and they did. Because it was just, I should have walked on the carpet without my without my shoes on. And guess who's in charge of all the chores? Us. So, like, you did little chores and you got paid for it. So when you get out, you have a little bit of money for your labor. Like, it's literally jail. It's a prison. Um, so, like, some people vacuumed. I would always do stuff with cleaning supplies so I could get high. God. I don't know how I'm still alive. Um, I'm trying to think. I remember vacuuming and I remember um, chemicals. So as, time went on and I was fighting everyone. I was fighting other girls in the unit, mostly staff though. I fought girls once. I fought twice. I fought girls twice. One time, the first time it was this girl who what did she say to me? She was mad that I was white. She said something about like me being white and that was a problem for her. Like fight like so we fought. Because I immediately was like, nah, like, we're not fighting over skin color. I mean, we are fighting, but, like, you're not, no, this is not going to be a reoccurring thing. Like, we have enough problems in here. We're not doing the race thing. So we fought. And then, they foolishly, at one point, put me in a room with two other girls. There was one room. So, like, the craziest people got single rooms. And then if you were, like, chilling, you got the rooms with the other girls. So I thought this one girl touched my stuff. I went crazy. I fought her. And then they immediately put me back into a single room. Anyway. I fought staff the worst. I broke a lady's thumb. Her name was Miss Beverly. Her and I were good friends in the beginning. Like, I really cared for her. And I would like to think that she cared for me too. And the day she moved me out of the room with the two girls, they did it while I was at their school. And no one told me that I was being moved into a single room. I just came back and I saw Miss Beverly carrying a black trash bag with the very few things I owned, like a couple shirts. I think I had like a book. Like, it was nothing, but it was mine. And it was all I had was like something that other people couldn't control or like administer to me. And I flew into a rage seeing her carry that bag with no explanation, no warning, like nothing. It was just like, I just felt like an animal being led to a different cage. So I just attacked her. And we struggled so much, and I ended up grabbing her thumb, and I bent it backwards so that it snapped. And she had to take time off work. She came back, and her arm was in a sling, so I don't know if I did even more damage. But there was no lawsuit. I was just too fucking crazy, so that's good. I was worried about that. But then her and I never spoke again. And there was another time where she locked me in a padded room after I went crazy again. And that was after I broke her thumb. I went crazy again on another staff member at some point. And I got into a serious scuffle with staff. I don't know, I was fighting some staff member over something. And they took all the staff on the whole floor to pin me down because I was fighting them. And they ended up bruising my ribs. And I screamed so loud that my entire face, all the capillaries on my face burst. So my skin, imagine me, my face right now, covered in purple and red dots. The whole face. Imagine 1,000 needle pricks on my face. It was all my burst capillaries. And if you look, see this? That's from that day. Still burst. Never healed that one. So when they finally restrained me, still didn't give me the Thorazine. They were real jerks. I was like, just give me the fucking drugs, man. After the Thorazine, not after the Thorazine. After I calmed down a bit, they really restrained me. And, like, yeah, they had to rough me up, which I'm not even mad. I wasn't mad that I was injured, but I was also bleeding. somewhere along the line I got cuts on my hands and just other places on my body. So they finally got me in the padded room, and I was bleeding enough. It was bleeding enough. And, like my blood was getting on the floors. And Miss Beverly was sent to stand outside the door. There's a little window in the padded room. And Miss Beverly took a hanger and she was banging it on the window. And she looked at me through the window, hitting it with a hanger, a wire hanger. And she was like that. So I took my blood and I wiped it all on the window so she couldn't see me anymore. And that was the worst day of my life. After that day, that's when I was like, my life can't get any worse. Like, you might as well just kill me now. Like, I really was ready to die. Miss Beverly was like the only person that I really cared about. Like, ever. I didn't care about my family because they locked me up. Like, what I didn't realize is, like, I think one of the times I freaked out, like a massive, massive freak out, was when I learned that my mom could have taken me out of there. And she didn't. And that might have been the day that I freaked out and fought everyone and ended up in that room. Because I was like, wow, not even my own mother. So yeah, I had bonded with Miss Beverly. And even though I attacked her, like, I just expected her not to take it personal. But obviously, in retrospect, like, how could you not? Like, fucking injured you to the point where it's like you couldn't come into work, and who knows if she still has problems with her thumb. And I am remorseful. I fully regret doing that. But it's like to be locked up in that padded room, and you can't breathe because your ribs are bruised, and you're bleeding. And I was like relieved at Miss Beverly to stand outside the door. And I just looked at her, like, obviously you could tell I was sorry. And her just taking the hanger and just, tapping the window, and like, I literally felt like an animal. Like, just in a cage, like being tortured. Yeah. Good news is, my life has not gotten worse since. Even with Brad, like, even me wanting to kill myself then, I still had the freedom to at least kill myself if I wanted to. Like, in there, you couldn't even kill yourself if you wanted to. Your clothes couldn't have strings. You couldn't open the windows. It's like, if you wanted to kill yourself, like, I remember one kid tried to kill himself with a bed sheet. And he was almost successful. Like, I saw him after that. And his whole throat was, like, cut up and bruised from the bed sheet. So I don't know how he managed to do it. Probably in his bedroom somehow. But that's not how it's going to go out. So yeah, imagine being so oppressed that you didn't even have the option to die. Like, you couldn't even do that. So, like, even my worst days, like, with Brad and just, like, clients and all the depressing things that have happened to me getting sick, it's like, at least I could kill myself if I wanted to. And that's when I realized the severity of my situation. And I caught wind that I was going to get transferred again on my 18th birthday to a place called Pilgrim. You might have heard of Pilgrim State. It's like the most notorious mental hospital in America. I don't know. I think a lot of it's shut down, and but there's still parts of Pilgrim that are operating. It's really hard for mental hospitals to get funding. Like, that's why they're so crappy. Is they just don't have funding. There's a state facility. Come on. So I found out I was getting transferred again, and they were waiting for me to turn 18. Because it's an adult facility. I was 17, children's facility. Thank God for being a minor, man. So I was like, I can't go on like this. This is not how I'm supposed to be alive. And that's how I learned to finesse, because I had to do it to like literally save my life. So I started studying the staff and the people around me. Like, everyone became no longer an opponent but a subject. And I had nothing but time. So I would just study people. I would watch them smile and be like, okay, why did that person just smile? What type of thing happened that made them happy? And then I would watch when staff was upset. And I'm like, okay, well, how did they get upset? What upset them? And I was truly learning emotions, because at that point I was so numb from everything I had been through. Like, I forgot what it was like to be anything but angry or sad. So it's like, if you only know two emotions, like, of course you're going to treat other people, with those two emotions. So I had to relearn emotions. And I did it by watching people. And I was like, okay, okay. I had a dictionary. So I started reading the dictionary every day, just trying to learn something. Because at school, like, you weren't teaching, you weren't being taught shit. So yeah, I started reading. And I wasn't at that point, I didn't even know what I was doing. But the staff saw me reading. They're like, is this psychopath reading a fucking book? But I was just trying to get information, like any information at all. Like, you just didn't have access to information. We had a radio in the art therapy room. Um, it was amazing. And then I remember one time we saw on the TV that there was the SAG Awards. And I thought it was so insane. It was so triggering. I asked to leave. And I was like, I can't watch this award show called the SAG Awards because we live in Sagamore. Like, I can't do it. Anyway, yeah. So I started reading. And I started studying other people and seeing, like, what made them happy, what made them sad. And then I would try to mimic those things that made them happy. Then I learned about yoga and meditation from one of the teachers there. And her and she was so beautiful. Remember, she was so pretty. I just wanted to look like that. And she asked me a question, and she said, do you know what an indigo child is? I was like, no. And she told me basically, I never did that much research into it, but she basically told me that I was like some sort of like special person. And whether if it's true or not, it made me feel special. And that kind of won me over, her feeling like she knew something about me that wasn't horrible. And she made me feel special enough where I would listen to her. She told me about meditation. She told me about yoga. And she was like, this is something you can do in your room. And I started stretching and doing yoga, like learning about that. And she was kind of like this mentor for me. And I never really got to see her. It was, I forget what she was a teacher for. But when I did, she gave me trust. I started trusting her. And between me doing the yoga and meditating and reading books and then treating staff with the same treatments that they got to make them happy, people really started to see a change in me. At that point, I didn't feel it. Like, I didn't feel like I had some sort of spiritual awakening. I was just going through the motions, trying to get people to change their opinion of me. I mean, at that point, I had gone so crazy, I thought I could hear the radio in my teeth. Like, I was gone, out to lunch. Like, it was pure finesse. It wasn't real. And eventually, I think April. I got it in April. My birthday's in May. So, with enough of that, and I stopped fighting, of course. That was the first thing I changed, to stop fighting. And I got released on April 4th. Like I said, I came out with more problems than I did going in, and it took years and years of therapy, control with my medication. I eventually got off medication, which was a massive success. But what really started healing me and making all of my symptoms of insanity go away was the further I got away from my dad, the healthier I got. I was just insane because of my dad. It's so crazy. All that time, like, getting treatment and doctors thinking that, like, there was something deeply wrong with me and that I was untreatable. This is what they told my families. They said, like, I'm a hopeless case. Like, I'll be insane forever. There's nothing they could do. Yeah, how about get me away from my abuser? That's all it took. And I think now that you know me well enough, like, you would be shocked to learn any of this about me. But I think that's one of my driving forces for what I do, and as far as helping people and helping myself and just pushing, pushing, pushing. Because it's like, I never want to get to the lowest point in my life again. I can't go back there. But that's how I learned to finesse, completely out of survival. And it was just through observations and trial and error. And that's what I did. And it's not like I, like, finessed people to, like, give me better food or something like that. I will never eat grits again. Oh, can we just talk about the food for a second? There is nothing crappier than, like, half-cooked eggs that have been sitting in their steam for so long that they're watering. Like, it's just, imagine, it's not like half cooked, like, oh, the yolk is running, like it's eggs benedict or something. No. It's half cooked, like, it's not okay. Like, it's half cooked scrambled eggs. They scramble them, mixed with their own, like, egg sweat from sitting in the containers for too long, and then, like, runny grits. What's the point of eating at that point? They did have bomb ass chocolate cake though, which I think we got once a week, and I was like, at one point I was living for chocolate cake. That's the only thing. It kept me going throughout the week. You need to have something to look forward to. It's really important. Yeah, so that's how I finessed my way out of a mental institution. And when people ask me, like, how do you make change? How do you make change? How did you get your life into a better place? Like, it doesn't happen overnight. And it has to start in your fucking brain. It's the only place to start. And even if you are living in a padded room and you don't have access to phones or even human beings, it starts in your fucking brain. That's how it started for me. And that's how I continue to live my life, knowing that whatever situation I'm in, like, the power to change it is already inside me. And, like, I don't care how corny that sounds, but it's true. It's just like a nightmare. It's just the worst nightmare I've ever had. It was so long ago. It was almost 10 years ago. It was more than 10 years ago. Oh, almost 12 years ago. Yeah, I got out. I met a guy. His name was David. And my mom was like, you have to get out of the house. Because I had gotten bad again after I got out. And I had moved from my father's house. And then he got married and moved in with his new wife. And I didn't get along with her either. She was a cop. So then I moved back into my mom's house, and I just got worse from there because I have huge beef with my mom for leaving me in a mental institution, getting rid of my twin sister when I was a kid, which is a whole nother story. I just hated her. I hated her so much. And I know some of it was misplaced anger, but it's like, how could you not blame someone for that? Like, I was not at a place where I was accepting responsibility for my actions. That didn't come till many years later. So she's like, you gotta go. So I met this guy on MySpace. And he took me in. And that's how I ended up in that shitty basement in New Jersey. I wasn't healthy enough to work. And then when I tried, we were in that recession. I couldn't get a job. And then even when I tried to get a job, David was so, like, mentally controlling that he didn't want me to work. And that's when I finessed that man out of his wedding ring. I think I learned how to do that. And I sold it and bought a laptop computer and started webcamming while he was at work. And I made $10,000 my first month. I never looked back. So, I'm safe. I'm in California. I have my dogs. Kinsley's still fast asleep. My man is working. He's either at the gym or he's working. I don't know. I don't keep tabs on him like that. But he's out there thriving and succeeding. After this, I'm going to check my Instagram comments and just see all the beautiful love. Hell, I might even go through a few DMs. I'm definitely going to answer the YouTube comments from my video yesterday. And, I hope you buy the merch. Huh? Did I get you? I don't know how to end this in a way where I can snap us back to reality. So that's what I was trying to do. I don't want to leave you feeling somehow like you can't unsee this. You can't unhear it. Like, let's just all get back to reality together. That's why I said that. Like, I know you're going to buy it anyway. Oh, God. There you go. That's the story. I went in when I was 16. I got out right before I was 18. And the first time I had gone to a mental hospital was when I was 14. Again, another story. Okay. I'm going to finish this coffee, and I'm going to go through comments. I'm going to upload this. And as usual, I hope that this helped you out in some way. And I love you. And I'll talk to you really soon. Have a great day.